I'm an innocent man, Your Honor, and I have always been an innocent man.
This is John Bunn. John Bunn spent 27 years fighting to prove his innocence after being wrongfully convicted of murder. At just 14 years old, he was arrested in Brooklyn, New York by NYPD detective Louis Scarcella. The flawed case against him resulted in 16 years of imprisonment, followed by 11 years on parole, all while he maintained his innocence. Years later, Bunn's conviction was overturned when evidence surfaced that Detective Scarcella had engaged in misconduct. It was also revealed that there had been no valid reason for his arrest.
I want y'all to know that y'all convicted and had a wrong man in prison.
After spending the majority of his life under wrongful conviction, Bunn was finally exonerated.
I want to say thank you, Your Honor, because in 27 years, I've been fighting for my life.
Before leaving the courtroom, he shared an emotional moment with the judge. Following his exoneration, Bunn took legal action against both the city of New York and Detective Scarcella. This is Scott Nelson. Scott Nelson was charged with first-degree murder for the killing of a nanny in Orlando, Florida.
So you committed the worst possible crime.
After serving 25 years in prison for bank robbery, he struggled to rebuild his life. Following the loss of his painting job, he planned another crime. Armed with a knife, Nelson broke into a home where a nanny was working as a caregiver. He kidnapped her, locked her in the trunk of a car, and drove to an ATM to withdraw cash. After obtaining the money, he transported her to a secluded area where he fatally stabbed her before abandoning both her body and the vehicle. When authorities arrested Nelson, he attempted to deflect responsibility, claiming the government was to blame for his actions.
You bought zip ties.
Yes, I did.
You bought duct tape.
That'd be correct.
You bought a knife.
I sure did. I bought that material because I had a plan in mind of how I was going to survive being thrown on the street again for what, the third or was it the fourth time by the government? And you know, you kick a dog enough times, they tend to bite back, and really, they just don't care anymore.
Throughout the trial, he displayed no remorse and eventually confessed to the murder.
Who killed Jennifer Fulford?
I did.
During the penalty phase, he addressed the court before being convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
How has your mental health been affected by your previous incarceration?
I am a homicidal maniac.
This is Alan McCarty. Alan McCarty was taken into custody and charged after issuing death threats against a judge overseeing his child custody case.
My daddy owns the building and I look like a idiot, huh? Brought your dress today, you little prick? You wanna?
Following a court ruling that revoked his parental rights, McCarty reacted aggressively, directing multiple threats toward the judge.
Take my kids from me and act like that? You in there? Shut the up. I'm trying to think over here.
His erratic behavior extended to his courtroom appearances, where he frequently disrupted proceedings. After being found guilty of making the threats, the case moved to the sentencing phase. Due to his repeated outbursts, he was relocated to a separate room, where he could only observe the courtroom through a one-way glass window.
No, I'm not standing. Not resisting. I'm not resisting. I'm just not standing up. I'm not standing. I don't have to stand.
However, even from there, he continued his disruptive conduct. In the end, McCarty received a 20-year prison sentence. Additionally, because of his behavior during the trial, the judge imposed an extra 10-day sentence. This is Markeith Loyd. Markeith Loyd was found guilty of murdering a police officer in Orlando, Florida. At the time of the incident, he was already on the run, wanted for killing his ex-girlfriend, who was pregnant with his child.
I'm raising a relationship for somebody else I absolutely don't know nothing about, and they frame me and frame me.
A month after that murder, authorities located him at a Walmart. Inside the store, Orlando Police Lieutenant Deborah Clayton received an alert about his presence and attempted to arrest him. A gunfight broke out, during which Clayton was shot 4 times and fatally wounded. After killing the officer, Loyd fled once again, prompting a 9-day manhunt before authorities finally captured him. During his arrest, he resisted, leading to a confrontation in which he lost his left eye. In court, Loyd testified, alleging that law enforcement was plotting against him.
And I was just reacting, Mary. I was just reacting. Even when they opened the door, I just reacted. I fired 2 shots, I just reacted.
Despite his claims, the jury convicted him. As the proceedings continued, Lieutenant Clayton's sister gave a powerful victim impact statement.
She stood in the place as my mother when I didn't have one. I truly miss my sister. I truly miss her. It really hurts deep down inside.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Markeith Loyd, should be sentenced to death.
At one point, Loyd appeared to direct a message toward the audience before having an outburst.
You've been trying to kill me. You've been trying to bring me for murder.
All right, why don't we remove Mr. Loyd from the courtroom?
The judge ultimately upheld the jury's decision, sentencing him to death. He remains incarcerated, awaiting execution. Darrell Brooks. Darrell Brooks was convicted of murdering 6 people and injuring dozens more after intentionally driving his SUV through a Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin. During the attack, he sped through the crowd at over 30 miles per hour, with prosecutors arguing that his actions were deliberate.
He plowed through 68 different people. He kept going until he got to the end, and there was no more bodies to hit. It was intentional.
After his arrest, Brooks chose to defend himself in court.
If you are allowed to represent yourself in this case, sir, you will not have attorneys assisting you. They are gone from this case. Do you understand that?
I think I would probably be better served representing myself.
His trial was repeatedly disrupted by his outbursts and interruptions, leading to his removal from the courtroom multiple times. At one point, his lack of remorse became evident when he laughed during a witness's testimony. He had also made previous threats, stating his intent to harm a specific individual.
He told Erica that he was gonna find her and he was gonna kill her.
Throughout the proceedings, Brooks continued to display erratic behavior, growing visibly irritated when the district attorney mispronounced defendant.
I would like to provide the defendant and the court.
So that had to be said. The defendant. I got one ear that work and I heard that.
This is to benefit you.
No, it's not. Ain't none of this to benefit me.
At one moment, he locked eyes with the judge in an unsettling stare down, causing her to briefly pause.
I need to take a break. This man right now is having a stare down with me. It's very disrespectful. He pounded his fist. Frankly, it makes me scared.
In the end, Brooks was convicted on all 76 charges. The court sentenced him to 6 consecutive life terms, along with an additional 700 years in prison. As the verdict was delivered, he pounded his fist in frustration, leaving a lasting impression on those in the courtroom. Jaleel Smith-Riley appeared in a Cincinnati, Ohio courtroom after authorities reported that he had admitted to participating in a robbery that resulted in the death of a 20-year-old woman and left her boyfriend with severe injuries. Portia Brooks and her boyfriend, Aaron Martin, were sitting in a car when Smith-Riley and 2 others approached them with the intent to rob. Upon realizing that Martin had no cash, Smith-Riley shot him in the head, causing permanent brain damage. He then turned the gun on Brooks, who succumbed to her injuries 3 days later.
Lord, please, go back up with me. I just want to come up with this.
This is somebody that feels genuine remorse. This is somebody that thinks about this every day, and he knows that he can't go back in time and undo what he did.
During the trial, Smith-Riley's defense attorney argued that he deeply regretted his actions and thought about them every day, wishing he could undo what had happened. Brooks' mother delivered a powerful victim impact statement, expressing the heartbreak of losing her daughter.
But he killed me mentally, emotionally. He killed my identity as a mother of 3, as a family of 4.
Her sister also spoke, stating that if their family had to endure life without Portia, then Smith-Riley should spend the rest of his life in prison.
I have to deal with life without Portia, so he should deal with life without parole.
In the end, the judge sentenced Smith-Riley to life without the possibility of parole.
And serve a term of life without parole as to count 4 for the offense of attempted murder.
This is Mikel Brady. Mikel Brady played a key role in a violent escape attempt at Pasquotank Correctional Institution in North Carolina, which resulted in the deaths of 4 prison employees.
I stabbed him like 4 to 8 times. I hit Jeffrey Howard until he stopped moving. I don't know how many times I hit him with a hammer.
During the incident, Brady launched a brutal attack on one of the victims, stabbing him multiple times and repeatedly striking him with a hammer until he was motionless. At the time, Brady was already serving a 24-year sentence for attempted murder after firing shots at a North Carolina state trooper. 4 years into his sentence, he and 3 other inmates carried out a deadly assault on prison staff.
That man, Mikel Brady, beat that man, George Midget, like he was trying to bust concrete.
Using weapons such as hammers and scissors. The sheer violence of the attack left witnesses horrified, with one testifying that the floor was drenched in blood.
It was like a bloodbath. I stepped in between Jeffrey and Wendy, and I slid trying to get in because the whole elevator floor was nothing but blood.
Prosecutors argued that Brady had been the mastermind behind the plan and displayed no remorse for his actions.
We know who originated the plan. We know who led the plan.
When he took the stand, he remained unrepentant, claiming he was simply being honest, regardless of the consequences. When questioned about his understanding of right and wrong, he responded, "Murder is just another name for death."
I'm up here to tell the truth. You can ask me anything you want. I'm gonna tell the truth. Whether it hurts me, whether it helps me, I don't care about that.
You don't believe you're crazy, do you?
No, I don't think I'm crazy, no.
And you do know the difference between right and wrong?
Yes.
So you know murder is wrong?
Murder is a different name for a death, but yes.
Your freedom meant more than their lives.
Yes.
The jury ultimately recommended the death penalty.
Jury unanimously recommended that the defendant be sentenced to death.
A decision the judge upheld. Brady now sits on death row, awaiting execution in a Colorado prison. After a judge sentenced another judge to jail time, chaos erupted in an Ohio courtroom, and taking the defendant into custody wasn't easy, as a court officer had to drag her out. Former Cincinnati Judge Tracie was sentenced to 6 months in jail back in 2014. She was convicted of misusing her position as a judge to help her brother, who was facing an employment dispute in the county. Her lawyer has claimed that her actions didn't break the law.
Judge Hunter has gotten up each morning not knowing whether that was going to be the day that she was going to have to go.
But now that all of her appeal has been exhausted, she had to face the music in court. The case has drawn outrage from the African American community, who say Hunter is being treated unfairly.
What she wants is to control the facts. What she wants to do is write the law, and what she wants to do is play by her own set of rules right up until today.
Several people try to protest her sentence. One was detained by the police and only released after being found guilty of contempt of court. Hunter filed a grievance with the county claiming she was injured as she was being dragged away. The sheriff is investigating her claims.